I'm Matt Bichard here at the La Quinta Resort and Club in Palm Springs, California for REITwise 2017, NAREIT's Law, Accounting, and Finance Conference. Joining me today is Scott Smith, National Practice Leader, State and Local Tax with BDO. Scott, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to start, what should REITs keep in mind about state taxes as Congress considers potential comprehensive tax reform?
The important part is to just continue monitoring what may happen up on the Hill, and then based on what does happen, how that flows down to the states and how they tax REITs, and then try to plan accordingly based on both the federal and state developments.
Now, federal legislation significantly changing the procedure for the IRS to conduct partnership audit goes into effect in 2018. How are states reacting to this legislation?
Right now, I think it's, again, just like with federal tax reform, the states themselves are sitting back and figuring out what's going to happen up in Washington, and then what does that mean for us, and then that determines what it means for state taxpayers.
And a lot of states are enacting what's called market-based sourcing. Can you explain a little bit about what that is and why it's significant?
Well, for REITs, it's significant for the taxable REIT subsidiary, which is providing the services for the REIT structure. And market sourcing is simply a term that relates to how a state will source gross receipts received for the performance of services for purposes of the income apportionment formula, the sales factor in particular. And what market sourcing attempts to do is to source those receipts to where the customer is located, as opposed to where the service is performed.
And what are issues under market-based sourcing for equity REITs regarding their taxable REIT subsidiaries, as well as mortgage REITs with the loans secured by properties in various states?
Well, let's take the equity REITs first and the TRS. So the TRS, as I mentioned, is providing services. So it will be subject to the market-based sourcing rules. And the types of services that the TRS is providing will range. There are a number of different services. Might be tenant services, management services, accounting, legal services, consulting, property management, all sorts of different types of services. Depending on the state, states are never uniform. There's never one answer. My favorite answer is it always depends. But if those services are treated as professional services by some states, there's a specific set of rules for sourcing receipts from professional services. Another state may not adopt the professional services sourcing, so they may source those receipts differently. So you can end up with a situation where you're sourcing your receipts to more than one state, which you don't want that situation. For a mortgage REIT, it's receiving interest income. The first question is, well, is interest even included in the sales factor of the apportionment formula? If it's not, well, it's that interest is excluded. But if it is, under market sourcing, again, where is the customer? And is the property, is the loan secured by property? Is it unsecured? Just different sourcing rules are going to apply in different states, and you could end up with a situation where you have receipts sourced to multiple states or sourced to no state, which can sometimes happen. But those are mainly the main issues, I think, for the two types of REITs.
Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
For more from REITwise 2017, be sure to visit NAREITsREIT.com.